So today we are talking about the psychological disorders of schizophrenia and anxiety disorders. Schizophrenia, one of the rarer disorders, and anxiety disorders among our most common disorders. And I'll actually be talking about a few different anxiety disorders, and we'll be talking about etiological theories of both of those. So when people think about schizophrenia, they often assume that it is the same thing as multiple personality disorder. And it's really, really important for you to know that it is not the same thing as multiple personality disorder. Those are two very, very different disorders. Instead, schizophrenia is, as you can see there, probably one of our most severe psychological disorders and also one of our rarer disorders. When you think about schizophrenia, what you're looking at is severe form of psychosis. Psychosis refers to the fact that a person is having extreme difficulty telling the difference between what is real and what is not real. So they just are not able to tell that difference. And that shows up in a few different things, a few different examples. You can see several of them that I've written there. We have delusions, and delusions are false beliefs. These are beliefs that have absolutely no basis in reality. Examples would be things like, for me, believing that I can fly or believing that I have the ability to read people's minds. Those are two things that are, those are two beliefs that have no basis in reality. Or I could have a belief that maybe I am the secret love child of Donald Trump. And once again, with no evidence to support that at all. So while delusions are faulty beliefs, hallucinations are faulty perceptions. So it's the experience of perceiving something, like seeing something or hearing something or feeling something that nobody else feels. And once again, these experiences are not based in reality. Let me give you a couple of examples. It's not uncommon for people with schizophrenia or people who are psychotic to have auditory hallucinations. Auditory hallucinations means hearing things that nobody else hears. And so if a person is hearing voices, and it sounds like somebody is saying their name, or if they hear people talking, and the voices are coming from outside of their head, at least that's the perceptual experience, but nobody else can hear those voices, that would be an example of an auditory hallucination. A visual hallucination is where a person sees something that nobody else can see. Like, for example, if I were to see ghosts, or if I were to see spirits, walking around in front of me that nobody else could see, those would be examples of visual hallucinations. Tactile hallucinations involve the perceptual experience of feeling something. So if I was feeling bugs crawling all over my body, but there are no bugs crawling all over my body, that would be an example of a tactile hallucination. One thing that we can also see with people who are psychotic is that their thinking is really disorganized. And what I mean by that is that another person is not able to really follow the individual's train of thought. And so the person may be talking about a number of different things, and they may put string words together in a way that the words make no sense, or they may be talking about something and skip from topic to topic to topic, and there's no way to really follow that train of thought. Sometimes the person will use made-up words, words that, that it sounds like they're almost speaking a different language, but it isn't a true language. So for example, let me see if I can give you an example of being disorganized. If I were to say, good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a good day. Oh, look, it's daylight. Oh, we had daylight savings time. I like daylight savings time. I like changing my clocks back and forth. Oh, clocks, tick tock, 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Mice run up the clock. Oh, I like mice. Oh, I had a hamster when I was little. Those are examples of me stringing together several sentences that don't really go together. And so for you as the listener, if you had trouble understanding what I just said, don't be concerned about that, because what I was doing is I was demonstrating disorganized thought. Another thing that we might see in people who are psychotic is that their affect is flat. Now let me explain what that means. Affect is how we display our mood. And you can tell how a person is feeling without them telling you, without them using words, by looking at their affect. For example, if a person is happy, you would, the way that we could tell with their affect would be a smile on their face and a bright look in their eyes, and maybe they'd be standing up and their shoulders would be back and they would look real confident. Whereas a person who is sad would have affect of, being tearful or being hunched over, or having a furrowed brow and crying. When somebody's affect is flat, what we see is that there is no facial expression whatsoever, or there's no change in their voice, in the pitch in their voice. Let me just give you an example of being flat. I'm talking about something that's really important to me. I have a cat that I really love. The cat is my favorite cat in the entire world, and he loves to climb up and sleep with me, and I just love my cat so much. You can tell that as I'm talking, you don't hear any of that usual change in intonation that one would typically have when they were talking about maybe an animal that they really, really loved. Alogia refers to the fact that a person with schizophrenia has significantly reduced speech, or they may not speak at all. They may not try to communicate at all. Usually what this means is that they're so disorganized, they're unable to sort of get themselves to speak. They know how to speak. They learned how to speak at one time, but they're just unable to get themselves kind of organized enough to make words. And then finally, an example of catatonia, or someone being catatonic. Some people who, when they have schizophrenia, will demonstrate catatonia, where they will stand in very odd positions for literally hours, and they don't move, and it's very unusual to look at. I'm actually going to show you in the next slide, or after this video, you can actually click and I'll show you a video of a person who has catatonia. And what you'll be able to see is the fact that he holds these positions. What's interesting is there's something called waxy flexibility going on, which is that the arms and their head and their fingers can be moved by other people and placed in a position, and they'll hold that position. It's sort of like they're a human statue. So I'm going to end this video, and you can go to the next video to see an example of someone who is catatonic. And this is actually a real individual who is hospitalized who has catatonia, and you'll see that waxy flexibility.